This afternoon, it's my pleasure to present some special awards. All organizations have awards, and we've got ours. I doubt that there's anyone in this room who does not know who King Hubbard was. But if there is anyone, I would encourage you to learn about him. He's really, you talk about somebody who took personal risks, put their professional reputation online, and followed their convictions. I really can't think of a better example than King Hubbard. He was a PhD geologist. He worked for Shell Oil, and he made the prediction in, I think it was 1956, that the U.S. would peak in its oil production. He predicted 70, 71. Everybody thought he was a lunatic, just like I think a lot of people today think that some of us who talk about peak oil have lost some of our marbles. The quote up here, which I've got, which Steve provided to me, that he's famous for saying were we a rational society, of virtue of which we've rarely been accused, we would husband our energy resources much better. Still true today. Last year at ASPO's first national conference in Denver, we presented 4 of these Hubbard Awards. One went to Matt Simmons, who spoke this morning, and very much deserved one of those awards. We also presented awards to Professor Albert Bartlett, no relation to Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, but Albert Bartlett has a talk on population, energy, and exponential growth that he's given, I think, about 1,600 times around the country. It's available on DVD. If you get a chance to see him talk, he's getting a little bit older, so don't miss the opportunity to see him give his talk or to watch it on DVD. I think you'd find it fascinating. We also presented King Hubbard Awards to Walter Youngquist and posthumously to Buzz Ivanhoe last year. I was very happy to see in the news this summer that former President Bill Clinton was reading a book about peak oil. It was one of the, I think maybe the second or third books that I personally read about peak oil. And if you haven't read The Party's Over, I would certainly recommend it to you. And our first award today is going to be presented to the author of that book, Richard Heinberg. I believe Richard's in the room. I hope he is. Richard's a core faculty member at the New College of California. As I mentioned, he's written, I think, 3 books now relating to the topic. Correct me if I'm wrong, Richard. Power Down was the second book, very good, and now Richard's written a book on the oil depletion protocol, which he'll be talking about this week. I mentioned Albert Bartlett giving his talk 1,600 times around the country. Richard is, at this rate, will probably overtake Dr. Bartlett in a few more years. And he's certainly got a lot to tell us about peak oil and its effect on the world. So, but not just from an energy point of view. I like Richard's books because they go into the international relations issues that peak oil is presenting today, and will certainly continue to present. So, Richard, if you are here, I see Richard in the back. Our award is Steve said I'm not supposed to dwell on the symbolism of this award, but to me it resembles a flame that might be produced by burning coal, oil, or natural gas. So I'll let Richard take his award and say a few words.
Thank you. This is a completely unexpected and very much appreciated gesture. I have a tremendous respect for M. King Hubbert. I recently had the opportunity to defend him in print against some really, I think, ridiculous accusations that he was acting as a shill for Shell Oil Company in putting forward this idea of peak oil as a way of raising oil prices for the oil companies. I won't even dignify that by discussing it further. But I think Hubbert, in retrospect, has to be recognized as one of the great visionaries of the 20th century, because what we've embarked on in the 21st century is the energy transition away from fossil fuels that will be the great task of our lifetimes and our children's lifetimes, and he foresaw that, and he tried to tell us as much about it as he could and warn us of it. So, thank you.
If you've never stayed up till midnight watching Congressman Roscoe Bartlett give one of his special order speeches to Congress on C-SPAN, you're really missing it. And I would encourage you to visit Congressman Bartlett's website and see when he's scheduled to give his next one. And he is someone who we really need, more people like him in Congress. This slide is one that we started putting back together in May of 2005. Roscoe Bartlett is one of, I think, 2 or 3 people who you could actually call a scientist in Congress. He knows the issue. He's been teaching for a large part of his life, and he considers that an important part of what he does in Congress today. He has been, he took the lead in establishing a congressional peak oil caucus, that's bipartisan. Tom Udall on the Democratic side, Roscoe Bartlett on the Republican side have put together a peak oil caucus in the Congress, and we're hoping to see something similar take place in the Senate. Steve makes these slides, but I would agree with this bullet. And but people like Roscoe Bartlett are working on this problem. Roscoe Bartlett met with President Bush summer of '05, I believe, and talked to him for almost an hour about peak oil. So I'm sure that Roscoe explained all the basics. Roscoe also had a lot to do with a GAO report on peak oil that is supposed to be public, I think, in November of this year. So we're all looking forward to that. There's another major study in progress that, after Roscoe met with the president, the president asked the Secretary of Energy, Sam Bodman, to have the National Petroleum Council conduct a study on peak oil. At the time, I think the chair of the National Petroleum Council was Lee Raymond, who is a former CEO of Exxon, who was, in Exxon at the same time as running studies or ads, saying that peak oil is a myth. So we'll see, but people like Matt Simmons are also on the National Petroleum Council, so we can have hope that the study that they produce will be objective. So Congressman Bartlett, unfortunately, was not able to be here today. He did come to Denver last year. He's been a big supporter of ASPO.
I'm really so sorry that I cannot be with you. I enjoyed so much being with you at the event in Denver, Colorado last year. I look forward to being with you again this year. But I really must be at a very large convention that I originated I'm the sponsor of it. There will be more than 500 small businesses there, and there's an exact conflict. So I'm just really, really so sorry that I cannot be there. You know, these are both the best of times and the worst of times. The best of times related to the big find of oil in the Gulf of Mexico. That should have caused us to say, gee, now we have some excess energy that we can invest in alternatives. Sadly, that's not what happened. What happened was that many people were lulled into even more complacency, concluding that, gee, now I can buy that SUV, I don't have to buy that hybrid that I was going to buy. Too bad. But this is just another indication of the enormous challenge that faces us in education. This is really the primary goal that we need to have now, letting people know where we are and what the future is going to look like. I'm really very humbled by this award. I'm just doing what I think I need to do as a member of Congress. I was so fortunate to have a former life where I could understand some of these things, and now so privileged to serve the people and be able to play at least a small role in helping to educate. And I know that Dr. John Darnell is there to accept this award for me, and I want to tell John publicly how pleased I am of our 30 years of friendship and the fact that he is with me in my office. I think that John is probably, in one person, has more general knowledge in this area than any other person that I know. There may be others, but I don't know the others. And John, thank you so much. Again, I'm so sorry I can't be with you. I'm humbled by this award. And the company that I'm in, you know, this is even more meaningful to me. Thank you so much. And again, so sorry I can't be with you.